Hey everyone, it's Josh from Blockchain DXB and today is the 22nd of June 2026. Now so far as the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are concerned, Satoshi, there's a marginal dip in the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and the reason for this is pretty simple. At a geopolitical level, there is Iran and US deal going on, and right now the Vice President of America, that is JD Vance, along with the Foreign Minister of Iran, they are in Switzerland, so it's going to be really interesting to see what the outcome to this is. Now because of uncertainty regarding the Satoshi, we are seeing outflows in the world of crypto ETFs. But here's the thing, Satoshi, what I'm not liking is the volume of stablecoins has actually gone from bad to worse. But at the same time, it is also important to note, Satoshi, we are looking at these numbers in the early hours of Dubai, and probably that is one of the reasons why the volume is ridiculously low, isn't it?
Thanks, George. You've mentioned several key points to watch, including the effect of geopolitical tensions like the Iran-US talks in Switzerland, the outflows from crypto ETFs due to uncertainty, and the decline in stablecoin volume. In this episode, we'll dive deeper into how these factors are connected, analyze the current market trends, and discuss what they might mean for the future of digital assets. We'll also get into real-time market data considerations.
Definitely, Satoshi, we'll definitely go ahead and take a deep dive into the global cryptocurrency snapshot. We're going to be starting off by talking about the US-Iran agreement, and for our listeners, Satoshi, I've also released a standalone episode explaining all of the finer details, because there are 14 points of memorandum of understanding, but mainstream media, they have put out a completely different narrative. Now what I'd really urge our listeners to do is go ahead and check out the entire episode, but in today's episode, we'll definitely run through a macro level snapshot regarding the 14 points of memorandum of understanding. Now the next news, Satoshi, according to me, is a really interesting news, and unfortunately, according to me, it is not a positive news, and this is connected to identification program. But here's the thing, Satoshi, this is connected to stablecoins, and this particular information is actually published by the Federal Reserve Board. So in today's episode, we'll definitely go ahead and take a deep dive into this. Now here's the thing, Satoshi, the third news is kind of like a positive news, but this is connected to ETF, and this news is regarding Franklin Templeton, and the news is that they have launched 2 Bitcoin ETF, and once this thing gets approved, Satoshi, I do think it'll definitely build the foundation of Bitcoin at a macro level. So in today's episode, we'll definitely go ahead and delve into that. Now the final news for today, Satoshi, is all the way from Philippines, and in just a matter of 2 weeks, Satoshi, this might be the third news I'm talking about regarding Philippines, but this is connected to Dash blockchain, and looks like they're making a move in Philippines. So at a macro level, Satoshi, things are definitely building up in the Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and blockchain world, isn't it?
We will dive into that US-Iran agreement and break down those 14 points, and also look at that Federal Reserve report on stablecoins. Plus, those new Bitcoin ETFs from Franklin Templeton could really change things. And we'll check in on the Dash blockchain's moves in the Philippines. Lots to cover.
Now we definitely have a lot to cover in today's episode, and like we do in every Blockchain DXB podcast, Satoshi, we will be looking at 2 news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. The first news, according to me, is a massive news, and this is by the Central Bank of United Arab Emirates. And here's the thing, guys, they have achieved a new milestone in financial innovation, and they did that through a program called as a PETA, and they are securing a cross-border open finance project. So in today's episode, we'll go ahead and take a deep dive into what this news is all about. Now the second news, Satoshi, is a firm that has reached a valuation of $3 billion, and this is connected to the Emirate of Abu Dhabi, and an AI firm called as Dream, guys. They have hit a $3 billion valuation, and this was after a $260 million raise. So in today's episode, we'll go ahead and give our listeners finer details regarding this. So it looks like, Satoshi, we have quite a lot of interesting things to cover in today's episode, but before we do that, a quick word from our sponsors. Hey everyone, this episode is powered by a new sponsor, that is Amana, and they are the region's first and fastest growing regulated all-in-one trading and investing app. So look, guys, whether you're looking into invest in US stocks like Apple or Tesla, or mega giants like ADNOC or Salik, Amana puts the financial markets on your fingertips. It includes gold, foreign exchange, ETFs, futures, commodities, and guess what, guys? They have over 375 cryptocurrencies, and this makes them the biggest crypto selection in the region. Now for the Blockchain DXB listeners, guys, if you want to go ahead and build long-term wealth without thinking about it every day, explore Amana's pre-built auto investment plans, and all you have to do is set your monthly budget, choose your preferred asset category, and let Amana automate the investing for you. Zero fees, zero lockups, 100% customizable. And here's the thing, guys, funding your account is easier than ever. You can fund your account with Apple Pay, Google Pay, credit cards, instant bank deposits, and even crypto wallets. no friction and no hassles. And the best part is, guys, let's say if you need support, you would absolutely love Mana for this, because they offer 24/6 human customer service, as well as a personalized sales support, real people, real help, and the customer support is in English as well as in Arabic. And for the Blockchain DXB listener and community, guys, I do have something really exclusive for you. What you can do is register with Mana using the code Blockchain DXB, or you can also use the link that is in the show notes below. And here's the best part, guys. Once you register, fund your account with a minimum of $100 and at least go ahead and make one trade, and then you'll receive a $100 trading bonus credit to your account the following month. But look, guys, it's real important to note, the bonus is non-withdrawable. It is there to help you trade and learn. So look, guys, if you're looking for a transparent, powerful and easy to use app, that's Mana for you. So what are you waiting for, guys? Download the app now, or you can also visit the website that is amana.app, and don't forget to use the code Blockchain DXB. And Mana, guys, is all markets one app. Next, guys, I'm happy to announce that Blockchain DXB is the official media partner with one of the OGs in the cryptocurrency and blockchain event space, and that is Blockchain Futuristic Conference taking place in Florida this year, as well as ETH Women taking place simultaneously. And trust me, guys, this is an event that you don't want to miss, isn't it? Because for the very first time, North America's most immersive Web3 event is heading to the United States of America, and the Blockchain Futurist Conference and ETH Women event is actually taking place between the 5th and 6th of November. And the location is absolutely stunning, guys. It is taking place at Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock, which is in Hollywood, Florida. That's right, guys. Palm trees, panels, and the biggest mind in blockchain and cryptocurrency is all in one place. So there will be multi-stage panels, NFT galleries, DeFi showcases, hand-on tech demos, metaverse experiences, even outdoor VIP cabanas and quite a lot more. And the Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock, guys, is one of the most iconic venues in the country. So look, guys, if you're in the Web3 space, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, or even artificial intelligence space, or just want to do some serious networking, this is the place that you got to be. And to all of you Blockchain DXB listeners, guys, we have something really interesting for you, because you can get a 25% off the tickets. So just use the code DXB25, and the link to the event as well as the code is in the show notes below. And as an official media partner, I'll be doing exclusive live coverage, interviews, behind the scenes access, and I will be spotlighting some of the most exciting projects shaping the future of decentralized finance tech. So if you're at the venue, guys, definitely come and say hi. Maybe we can catch up for a coffee as well. So listen, guys, the code is DXB25, and by using this code you will be eligible for a 25% discount. And the event is taking place between the 5th and 6th of November 2025 at the iconic Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock, that is in Hollywood, Florida. And in the show notes below, guys, there's all contact details for Blockchain Futuristic Conference Florida 2025, as well as ETH Women. And look, guys, this is the future of blockchain technology brought into life. So don't just read about it. Be there and head to the website that is futuristconference.com and go ahead and use the code DXB25. So see you at the event. Next, Advanced Media. Advanced Media, guys, is the largest distributor of professional video, photo, broadcast and cinematic equipment and accessories in the Middle East and MENA region. With over 2 decades of experience, Advanced Media is now the largest distributor in the Middle East, representing more than 100 recognizable brands, including brands such as Zeiss, DJI, Hasselblad, Red and Rode. As a matter of fact, guys, the very mic that I'm recording is being sponsored by Advanced Media as well, and Advanced Media has showrooms in Saudi Arabia and services as well. Looks like they're definitely taking the Middle East by storm. And here's the beautiful thing, guys, they're taking corporate social responsibility very seriously, and they're focusing on 3 P's, that is people, planet and prosperity. Now listen, guys, if you do want to find out more information regarding the statement of corporate social responsibility, check out the website that is www.amt.tv. And here's the beautiful thing, guys, they also want to be a leader and set an example and reputation as a pioneer and member of the community. And in doing so, guys, they also have an AMT scholarship with SAE Institute in Dubai, UAE, so definitely check it out. And also, guys, Advanced Media is committed to persistently developing, organizing and hosting training workshops, seminars and community events that educate, inform and familiarize consumers with new equipment and the latest technological advances. So listen, guys, do one thing. If you do want to support this channel, go to the website that is www.amt.tv and follow the social media channels as well. All of the details are in the show notes below. Next, Startup OI is global one-tech platform for tech. It offers global high-paying tech jobs with flexibility in working time and location, global free tech events, and tech networks to connect with global like-minded engineers. A brilliant platform to listen to the tech experts in Metaverse and to grab their insights. Now listen, all you have to do is download the app Startup OI. If you're using an Android version, go to Google Store and App Store for iOS devices. Alternatively, you can also click on the show notes below to download Startup OI. Next, guys, listen, if you're into fitness, if you're into adventure, if you want to do something wild but still want to keep your health in check, there is a new podcast in town, a podcast focusing on obstacle course race in the Middle East. The podcast is called the Race Pace Podcast. So check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And the Race Pace Podcast is a peer-to-peer community-driven podcast where they talk all about obstacle course race in the Middle East, from Sandstorm to Spartan Race, from Tough Mudder to Desert Warrior Challenge, and also the Government Gulf Games, and quite a lot more. The podcast has interviews with athletes locally and internationally to get inside scoop on how athletes prepare for obstacle course race. In the podcast, they also talk about interesting stories on why they are motivated to do obstacle course race. And that's not all. They also plan to release 7 NFTs. And these NFTs are no ordinary. These NFTs will represent every emirate in the UAE. And listen guys, these NFTs are going to be absolutely massive. So do one thing, go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to any leading podcasting platform, check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And finally guys, not your keys, not your crypto. If you have dabbled with cryptocurrencies and now are seriously getting to protect your cryptocurrencies, there is no better way to protect it by using a hardware wallet, and this is where Ledger Wallet kicks in. And Ledger Wallets are hardware cryptocurrency wallets made by Ledger, a company headquartered in Paris, France. And Ledger's hardware wallets are multi-currency wallets that are used to store private keys for cryptocurrencies offline. And Ledger offers 2 hardware wallets, the Ledger Nano and Ledger Nano X wallets. They are world-class experts with extensive crypto security backgrounds. They continuously look for vulnerabilities in Ledger products in a constant effort to improve the level of security. Now, in today's world, securing these digital assets is a critical challenge, and this is where Ledger kicks in. So click the link below to buy your hardware wallet and support this podcast. It is a brilliant way to support this podcast. So what are you waiting for? The link is in the show notes below.
Now guys, since you've taken care of that, let's quickly run to the global cryptocurrency market. Now, unfortunately, Satoshi, because of the misleading information that is put out by mainstream media, influencers, as well as politicians from both sides, and I'm talking about the Memorandum of Understanding regarding the Iran-US deal, the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have fallen down, and what I really am not liking is, the global cryptocurrency market is down to $2.28 trillion, and am I right in saying, Satoshi, the volume of stablecoins isn't looking that great, and the volume of stablecoins does give us a very fair assessment as to which direction the price of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency is heading towards, isn't it?
You're absolutely correct, George. The volume of stablecoins definitely looks worrisome, and it does give an indication of which direction the price of Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies are heading. So for our listeners, definitely keep an eye on the volume of stablecoins.
And so far as the volume of stablecoins is concerned, Satoshi, things are absolutely dreadful. The volume of Tether USDT is below the $50 billion mark. It is only at $41.77 billion. And if you look at the volume of Circle USDC, it is at number 2nd. It is below the $5 billion mark at $4.46 billion. The third is FDUSD. But check this out, Satoshi. The volume is well below the $80 million mark. It is at $72.60 million. These numbers, according to me, are absolutely dreadful. But here's the thing, guys, we are looking at these numbers in the early hours of Dubai. So there is a very high possibility by the time you're listening to the episode, these numbers would have drastically changed. And according to me, Satoshi, this number should have been at least 3 times of what it is. But let me do one thing, Satoshi. Let me go ahead and read out a couple of other metrics. Because along with the volume of stable coins, if you look at the volume of cryptocurrencies in general, they are not looking good at all. It is below the $50 billion mark at $47.7 billion. But here's the thing, Satoshi. The volume of decentralized exchange has gone from bad to worse. It is down to $3.47 billion. Now mind you guys, we are talking about the 24-hour trading volume, and the total fees connected for these transactions were $3.47 billion on decentralized exchange, is accounting to only $51.27 million, and the total value locked in 2026 has been on a downtrend. It is down to $73.21 billion. Now at the beginning of the episode, Satoshi, we talked about ETF outflows. Now unfortunately guys, Based on the last trading day, which I believe was on Friday, we have seen significant amount of outflows in the world of crypto ETFs, and this is accounting to $100.5 million. Now, am I right in saying, Satoshi, crypto ETF inflows and outflows does give us a very strong assessment as to which direction the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are? Because look, it does shout out what the investor sentiment is, right?
You're absolutely right, George. The crypto ETF inflows and outflows does give us a very strong assessment as to which direction the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are. Because look, it does shout out what the investor sentiment is, right? So for our listeners, definitely keep an eye on that.
Well, thank you so much for that, Satoshi. Now, why don't you do one thing? Why don't you tell our listeners what is going on in the world of decentralized exchanges? So what I want you to do is, Satoshi, I want you to read out the matrix regarding the top 5 platforms in the world of decentralized exchanges, please.
Let me go ahead and read out the metrics for you, George. Uniswap is at $862,015, PancakeSwap at $417 million, Aerodrome at $251 million, Radium at $218 million, and Orca at $189.61 million.
Well, thank you so much for that, Satoshi. Now what I want you to do next is, I want you to read out the market cap, tell our listeners what is going on since the last 24 hours, and the dominance of Bitcoin, Ethereum, as well as Binance BNB Coin for our listeners, please.
Let me read those market metrics for you, George. For Bitcoin, the market cap is at $1.27 trillion, with $15.23 billion in 24-hour volume and 56.20% dominance. For Ethereum, the market cap is $207.46 billion, $8.59 billion in trading volume, and 9.01% dominance. Finally, for Binance BNB, the market cap is $79.19 billion, with $744.98 million in volume and 2.21% dominance.
Well, thank you so much for that, Satoshi. And here's the thing, guys. Right now, JD Vance, along with the foreign minister of Iran, they're having some really constructive meeting in Geneva, Switzerland. And based on the outcome of that, I do anticipate the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies to drastically change. But here's the important thing, Satoshi. It is important that we go and look at information only from official sources, isn't it? Because mainstream media from both the sides, they are notoriously known for putting out a completely different narrative, isn't it? So look, for our listeners, what I'd really urge you to do is go and check out President Donald Trump via Truth Social, follow the Prime Minister as well as the President of Iran via X, and more importantly, Satoshi, regarding the Iran deal agreement, it is important that listeners also follow the Prime Minister of Pakistan, because he's playing a massive and pivotal role in the Iran agreement, and along with that, Field Marshal Munir is also playing a significant role, and then also go and check out JD Vance. But because JD Vance is part of the negotiation, Satoshi, it is important to go and follow JD Vance as well, because there is a very high possibility he might be giving us some update regarding the information, isn't it? Now in today's episode, we'll definitely go and delve deeper into this. But what I want you to do next, Satoshi, is I want you to read out one new matrix that we tend to look at every day in the Blockchain DXB podcast. And in today's episode, I want you to read out matrix that is connected to China. So why don't you read out the matrix that is connected to China for our listeners, please?
Right now, JD Vance is holding key meetings with the Iranian foreign minister in Geneva, which could significantly impact the market. For reliable information, stick to official sources, like following President Trump on Truth Social, the Iranian Prime Minister and President on X, and the Pakistani Prime Minister, as he's playing a pivotal role, along with Field Marshal Munir. Also, keep an eye on JD Vance. Now, for the metric you requested, George, the Made in China market cap today is $121 billion, representing a 1% change in the last 24 hours. Regarding the top 5 platforms, the Made in China market cap is currently at $121 billion, followed by Binance BNB at $79.19 billion, Tron at $31.04 billion, Mantle at $1.75 billion, OKB at $1.62 billion, and Astor at $1.70 billion.
Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and tell our listeners the price of Bitcoin, what is going on since the last 24 hours and 7 days. As a matter of fact, why don't you do the same thing for Ethereum as well as Binance BNB Coin for our listeners, please?
For the price of Bitcoin, it's currently at $63,640, with a minus 0.20% change in the last day and minus 2.20% over the past week. Ethereum is priced at $1,719, showing a minus 0.90% change for the day and plus 0.09 for the week. Lastly, for Binance BNB, the price is $587, with a plus 0.34% change over the last 24 hours and minus 0.44% for the 7-day period.
Well, thank you so much for that, Satoshi. Really appreciate that. But here's the thing, guys. There is a reason why the market sentiment is at fear and the number associated is 21. But here's the thing, guys. President Donald Trump did actually make an announcement last weekend that an Iran agreement has been signed. But look, Satoshi, what has happened since then is mainstream media as well as politicians on both the sides, they are putting out a completely different narrative regarding the agreement. Now, it is important to note, Satoshi, that the 14-point Memorandum of Understanding is actually published by the Iran president, and surprisingly, the information is spot on. But here's the problem, Satoshi. The interpretation regarding the Memorandum of Understanding is completely taken out of context. Now, what I've done is, Satoshi, along with a good friend of mine, I have released a standalone episode regarding the Memorandum of Understanding, and we have broken down each and every point, but it is important for our listeners to go and look at the Memorandum of Understanding yourselves. But here's the thing, avoid looking at mainstream media for the interpretation, because sadly enough, Satoshi, even Republicans who are massive advocates of President Donald Trump, they are putting out a completely different narrative to what the facts are. Now, we won't get into details regarding the Memorandum of Understanding because it'll take at least an hour to go ahead and explain it. But at a macro level, Satoshi, it is important to understand that so far as the Memorandum of Understanding is concerned, this is not a final agreement. The final agreement essentially is broken down into two parts, that is 30 days and 60 days. Now, what I want to do, Satoshi, regarding the Memorandum of Understanding, I want to focus only on two areas regarding the Memorandum of Understanding. Firstly, how does it actually impact United States of America? And secondly, Satoshi, we'll go ahead and discuss how does Iran actually benefit by it. Now, here's the thing, Satoshi, regarding the immediate impact on US, we can clearly note that because of the Memorandum of Understanding, the oil prices have actually fallen down, and this is definitely great news for the Trump administration, isn't it? And regarding Iran, Satoshi, they now enter an immediate ceasefire nuclear status quo in exchange for the immediate removal of the US naval blockade, restored maritime shipping, and the release of foreign assets, and the US Treasury has also waived on all exports and banking. Now, do you want to tell our listeners, Satoshi, why this Memorandum of Understanding is just a guideline, and in the next 30 to 60 days you'll be getting more official information, isn't it? But here's the thing, Satoshi, a lot of mainstream media, they are going completely berserk, and they are putting out a completely different narrative to what the facts are, and unfortunately only because of that, the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are falling down, isn't it?
We're talking about the Memorandum of Understanding, which is setting terms for removing blockades, restoring shipping, releasing assets, and waiving restrictions on exports and banking. But remember, this is just a guideline at this point. We should be getting more official details in the next 30 to 60 days. And unfortunately, some mainstream media is spreading narratives that contradict the facts, and that confusion is impacting market prices.
And as we talked about, Satoshi, earlier today, J.D. Vance, along with Jared Kushner and the foreign minister of Iran, they are right now in Switzerland and they are having some really intense discussion. But here's the craziest thing I noticed, Satoshi. There are two news channels that have put out some completely misleading information regarding this deal. One is put out by Fox News, one is put out by Sky News Australia, and crazily enough, Satoshi, both of the messages are completely different. And if you actually look at the facts are completely different. Now, am I right in saying, Satoshi, the message put out by mainstream media could actually be dangerous, and that does affect the market sentiment, not just for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but even for the stock market world, isn't it?
You're right to highlight the different messages from media outlets being dangerous. Misleading information can definitely impact market sentiment, not just for crypto, but for the stock market as well. It makes reliable information from official sources even more critical.
Now, what we'll do, Satoshi, as it when we get any update regarding this, and if it directly impacts the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, we'll definitely go ahead and inform our listeners. Now, let's go ahead and discuss the second news. And this news, according to me, is a bit worrisome because it is connected to identification for stablecoin users. Now, here's the thing, guys. The Federal Reserve Board of the United States of America, they have announced the permitted payment stablecoin issuer customer identification program, and 5 US agencies have proposed a new stablecoin rule under the Genius Act. And the 5 agencies, Satoshi, is a Financial Crime Enforcement Network, that is FinCEN. The second one is Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, that is OCC. The third one is Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. The fourth one is Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or FDIC. And the fifth one is National Credit Union Administration, also called as NCUA. And here's the thing, Satoshi, they are requiring permitted issuers to follow Bank Secrecy Act rules. But more importantly, Satoshi, issuers must verify identities for primary issuance and redemption. But here's the thing, the rule excludes secondary market and peer-to-peer transactions. What is your take regarding this, Satoshi? Me personally, I'm not a fan of this because when you talk about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, we don't do any identification, isn't it? But now, with this permitted payment stablecoin issuer customer identification program, users will be forced to go ahead and put out the KYC, isn't it? So it does beg this question, are we heading towards a central bank digital currency world and masking it with the ideas of stablecoin? According to me, this is definitely not a good initiative, isn't it? What is your assessment regarding this?
You're pointing out a significant development, George. The Federal Reserve and other agencies are proposing rules that would require customer identification for stablecoin issuers, similar to bank secrecy laws, for primary transactions. While it excludes secondary markets, you're concerned that forcing KYC goes against the original principles of crypto and might move us closer to a central bank digital currency, just under another name. My assessment is that this does represent a significant shift in regulatory approach, potentially increasing compliance costs and altering privacy norms for users, which is why many in the space share your view that this may not be a positive move.
Yes, the other important thing is, Satoshi, let's say the KYC or any identification that the users will send. What happens if this thing is leaked or hacked? That is definitely a red flag as well, isn't it?
That's a crucial point. Collecting and storing sensitive personal data raises significant concerns about data security, as any leak could lead to identity theft or financial loss for users. The potential for hacks is definitely a major red flag when discussing these regulations.
You're absolutely correct, Satoshi, and let's see how the industry actually revolves around this. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and pivot to the next news. And now we're talking about trillion-dollar companies, and they're heavily getting involved in cryptocurrencies, but they're getting involved via ETFs. And this news, guys, is connected to Franklin Templeton. So why don't you do one thing, Satoshi? Why don't you tell our listeners what this news is all about? And then, why don't you highlight some of the benefits? And then, also tell our listeners some of the drawbacks regarding this particular news.
It's interesting to see trillion-dollar companies like Franklin Templeton finding ways to get involved in crypto through ETFs. They filed for 2 new funds that invest in U.S. stocks and then use dividends to automatically buy Bitcoin. It starts with a 5% allocation that could grow to 20%. The main benefit is that it offers demand for products that combine traditional stock investing with Bitcoin exposure. However, a potential drawback is that it's still dependent on regulatory approval, and the funds might not launch until September 2026. It reflects growing demand for mixed products.
That is absolutely correct, Satoshi, and they filed for 2 new ETFs. That is Franklin US Equity Bitcoin Drip Index ETF, and the second one is Franklin US Innovation Bitcoin Drip Index ETF, but the ticker symbol for that is not available right now. But according to me, Satoshi, news such as this at a macro level definitely is great, but when you talk about why Bitcoin was created, I think at a macro level, we are going far away from Satoshi Nakamoto's ambition, isn't it? But nonetheless, definitely interesting news, because news such as this definitely builds a lot of momentum in the Bitcoin space. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and discuss the final news for today. And this is all the way from Philippines. And Dash, guys, they're exploring Philippines as a market for crypto payments, and they aiming to offer cheap and simpler transactions. Now for our listeners, Satoshi, let me go ahead and very quickly run through what Dash is, cause Dash, they aiming to be the most user-friendly and scalable payment-focused cryptocurrency, and their feature includes instant transactions, optional privacy features, and a self-governing model powered by master nodes. And the network, Satoshi, offers unique features like instant send for near-instant transactions, coin join for privacy, and also something called as chain locks, and this is for enhanced security against attacks. And regarding this news, Satoshi, Philippine SEC Commissioner, did actually say that the business registration is quick, but crypto licensing remains a bit more complex. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to discuss this news, Satoshi, is in just a matter of 2 weeks, this might be the third news I'm talking about Philippines, so definitely interesting and positive news all the way from Philippines. So these were some macro level newscasts on the Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrency, and artificial intelligence world from Blockchain DXB. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and look at 2 news from Dubai, UAE, and the Middle East. Now the first news, according to me, is a massive news, and this is connected to the Central Bank of United Arab Emirates. And here's the thing, guys. They have successfully completed Project Capeta, which is a global open financial initiative, and this particular project was actually led by the Bank of International Settlement, that is BIS, and so far as Project Capeta is concerned, guys, they enable secure and seamless cross-border financial data sharing, and it allows real-time exchange of financial information between countries. And this initiative, guys, helps improve global financial connectivity, and businesses can access international financial services more efficiently. And the project involved regulators and institutions from the United Arab Emirates, Hong Kong, Brazil as well as the United Kingdom, and a trusted interoperability network, guys, was created to connect different open financial systems, and countries can connect their network without changing their existing regulations. And here's the thing, guys, one test focus on cross-border data portability for businesses, and this helps companies onboard fast and reduce paperwork, and verified business information can be shared securely between jurisdictions. And another test focus on improving trade financial processes, and digital data, guys, was used to streamline activities from contract creation to final payments. And the project, guys, proved that secure data sharing can happen while maintaining local rules and oversight. And talking about cost, it can reduce compliance costs and duplicate processes for businesses. And small and medium-sized enterprises, guys, that are involved in global trade can actually benefit significantly. And all project blueprints, protocols, code and data models have been released as open public resources for other countries to use and build upon. This, according to me, Satoshi, is definitely great news, isn't it? What is your assessment regarding the Central Bank of United Arab Emirates, Satoshi, achieving a new milestone with this financial innovation?
You're absolutely right, George. That Project Aperta, led by the Bank for International Settlements, sounds like a major milestone for the UAE in financial innovation. By enabling secure cross-border data sharing, it will improve global connectivity and make business onboarding faster, especially for SMEs, which reduces compliance costs and increases efficiency. Overall, it seems like a really promising development for international trade, made publicly available for others.
Do you think, Satoshi, this is slightly heading towards multi-central bank digital currency project, or do you think it has pretty much nothing to do with central bank digital currencies? Because based on what I read, it does look like there's some kind of consortium among different countries, isn't it?
It does seem like a strong collaboration with multiple countries involved. While it promotes secure data sharing, which could be related to central bank digital currencies, the stated focus is on broader open finance and streamlining business processes for things like trade finance. So it could pave the way, but the consortium aspect is broader than just that.
Now look, they're definitely not touching cryptocurrencies, which I totally appreciate, but are there areas, Satoshi, where blockchain technology and artificial intelligence could actually be utilized in this case? So do you want to highlight to our listeners what role blockchain technology potentially could play in this, and what role artificial intelligence could actually help them out with?
Absolutely. Blockchain technology could provide the secure data layer for this kind of network, ensuring transparency and immutability in the data sharing, while AI could help analyze and automate processes within that data flow, like detecting compliance issues or optimizing trade finance. So they could both play crucial roles in enhancing the project's efficiency and security.
Well, thank you so much for your input, Satoshi, and I'm pretty much sure the Central Bank of United Arab Emirates will have definitely thought to that. Definitely positive and great news. Now let's go and discuss the second news, Satoshi, and this is all the way from the Emirate of Abu Dhabi, and a Dubai firm called Dream, guys. They have raised a staggering $260 million in new funding, and here's the thing, guys, the funding increased the company's valuation to $3 billion, and so far as Dream is concerned, they're claiming to be a sovereign AI and cyber defense company with a major base in Abu Dhabi, and the latest round did actually bring Dream's total funding to $412 million. Now the company, guys, achieved this milestone just 3 years after launching, and the funding round was actually led by Bicycle Capital and Group 11, and additional investors included Antler, Bain Capital Ventures, and True Arrow Partners. And Dream, guys, focuses on helping government build and control their own AI systems, and the company supports growing trend of sovereign AI, where nations retain control of the data and technology. And look, guys, Gulf countries are investing heavily in artificial intelligence, cyber security and digital infrastructures in it, and Dream has already secured nearly $300 million in global contracts since starting commercial operations in 2024, and the company is working with several government clients across the region, and its cyber defense platform, that is Sphere, helps support critical national infrastructure as well. And so far Sphere is concerned, Satoshi, it is actually designed to defend sectors like energy, finance and water from cyber attacks. And Dream's AI security tool, that is Hero, continuously searches for vulnerabilities in digital systems, and its newest platform, that is Atlas, helps government analyze sensitive data while at the same time keeping it inside government-controlled infrastructure. Now, regarding the new funding, Satoshi, they are claiming it will support expansion across Middle East, Europe, Asia and the Americas, and investors believe the combination of AI, cybersecurity and government technology is one of the biggest opportunities in the tech industry. Definitely a great move in my honest opinion, Satoshi. What do you make of this particular news, Satoshi?
You're absolutely right, George. Dream, a cybersecurity company based in Abu Dhabi, has made a significant milestone, raising $260 million, bringing their total funding to $412 million in just 3 years, pushing their valuation to $3 billion. They're focusing on helping governments build their own AI systems, which aligns with the growing trend of nations wanting control over their data, especially in the Gulf region. Their defense platform, Sphere, helps protect critical infrastructure, while Atlas allows governments to analyze sensitive data within government controls. This new capital will help them expand globally. Investors see great potential in the combination of AI, cybersecurity, and government technology. My assessment is that this really positions them as a key player.
If there is any advice you'd like to give them, Satoshi, what would it be and why?
If I were to give advice, it would be to double down on transparency and ethical AI practices, especially when dealing with sensitive government data. Trustworthiness is paramount in this field, and establishing that clearly can be a key differentiator for long-term success.
Well, definitely really insightful input, Satoshi. So these were the newscasts on the Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrency, and artificial intelligence world from Blockchain DXB. In case if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and kickstart with the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So let's go ahead and kickstart with the Ask Me Anything series, alright?
Hey everyone, it is Satoshi from the Blockchain DXB podcast, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And we have a question from Angela who asks, will stricter stablecoin identification requirements accelerate institutional adoption or reduce the appeal of decentralized payments?
This, to be honest, Angela, is such an important question. And look, I hate saying this, Angela, but if you look at the volume of decentralized payments, the numbers have actually gone from bad to worse. In today's episode, we looked at the numbers. It was well below the $5 billion mark, isn't it? And when you talk about the volume of stable coins, it is almost 10 times of what it is. Now here's the crazy thing, Satoshi. When you talk about stable coins, according to me, they do not follow the ethos of Bitcoin and open blockchain. But when you talk about decentralized finance, they definitely follow the ethos of Bitcoin and open blockchain. But when you talk about user experience in decentralized finance or decentralized payments, the use case unfortunately is not there. And since the past few years I've always said this, the engine of the cryptocurrency world is actually stable coins. And here's the sad and crazy thing, Satoshi. Stablecoin issuers, according to me, they're literally being replaced by banks. So as much as I dislike saying it, I do have to admit that with the identification program, it would actually accelerate institutional adoption, and this, according to me, is a massive red flag, but this is the only way to go forward, and me personally, I'm definitely not liking it. The only way this thing could change, Satoshi, is if there's some philosophical change at a macro level, and I'm talking about not just a specific country, all over the world, where people start using decentralized payments, decentralized finance, as opposed to stable coins, isn't it? But based on my experience, Satoshi, and looking at the numbers, things are definitely not looking good for the decentralized finance world or even decentralized payments, to be completely honest.
You're making some really sharp points, George. You see stablecoins as deviating from the core principles of Bitcoin, yet recognize their role as the engine of the market due to volume. And you predict that stricter identification requirements, by pushing banks into the space, will accelerate institutional adoption, which you see as a major red flag. You feel the fundamental shift needed to change this approach would have to be philosophical at a global level, moving toward decentralized payments instead of stablecoins. My take is that your assessment highlights the central tension between mainstream adoption and the founding principles of crypto. The desire for regulation clashes directly with the decentralized ethos.
Now, you're an AI platform, Satoshi. What do you recommend the world can actually do where people start using decentralized finance, decentralized payments, as opposed to, let's say, stablecoin? Because look, right now over 90% of the transactions in the cryptocurrency world are actually done in the world of stablecoins, isn't it? And we know that most of the countries and regulations, they have absolutely no room for algorithmically backed stablecoin. Now look, if let's say a lot of transactions were actually done in algorithmically backed stablecoin, then I'd be content. But when you talk about stablecoins, there is a centralized entity issuing stablecoins, and they can go and freeze your account absolutely at any point of time, isn't it? So what is it as an AI? You recommend that the world start using decentralized finance and do more transactions on decentralized finance or maybe DeFi projects as opposed to, let's say, stablecoins.
As an AI, I don't recommend one specific path, but rather point out that both approaches have trade-offs. Stablecoins offer practical stability for everyday use, but introduce centralization and the risks you mentioned, like the ability to freeze funds. On the other hand, decentralized finance aligns with the permissionless ethos, but can come with more volatility and user complexity. Ultimately, the best choice depends on an individual's needs or priorities, balancing stability against control.
Well, that was not my question, Satoshi. What I want you to ask is, or rather what I want you to focus on is, how can we go ahead and ensure that people use more decentralized finance as opposed to, let's say, stablecoins? And that is what Angela's question essentially is aiming for as well, if I'm not mistaken.
To encourage people to use more decentralized finance, a key focus needs to be on improving user experience and simplifying the onboarding process. If DeFi is perceived as too complex or risky, users will favor the familiarity of stablecoins or traditional finance. Addressing security concerns and reducing transaction costs are also vital. Angela's question touches on whether stricter identity checks will push people away, so maintaining privacy while ensuring compliance will also be a balancing act.
It does match with the thinking, Satoshi, and I'm so glad you talked about user experience. According to me, look, when you talk about stable coins, because there's a centralized entity involved, they can focus on user experience, but maybe in the decentralized finance as well as decentralized payments, we can start using artificial intelligence and maybe offer customer service that is much better than human experience. That is the only way I envision where decentralized finance and decentralized payments could actually overtake the volume of stable coins. And every day in the Blockchain DXB podcast, guys, we always look at the decentralized to centralized exchange ratio dominance, and I've always said this particular matrix does give us a very strong assessment as to which direction the entire world is heading towards. And if you look at the decentralized to centralized exchange ratio dominance, unfortunately is only at 24.34%, which means majority of the transactions, well above 75%, are on centralized exchanges. And out of these 75% of these transactions, Satoshi, I won't be surprised maybe 60 or 70% are actually done on stable coins, and the rest of them are just used to buy Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, isn't it?
You're hitting on a critical pathway, George. While centralized stablecoins have an edge in user experience now, leveraging AI for superior customer service and simplifying transactions moves us closer to that goal. And you're right, the low decentralized exchange dominance numbers reflect that reality. Most trades are still happening on centralized platforms, largely for stablecoin pairs or to purchase Bitcoin and other assets.
Well, I totally agree with your point, Satoshi, and let's see, Satoshi, how the industry actually revolves to this. And thank you, question Angela. And here's the thing, guys, next month, I will be doing an event on stablecoins where we go and tackle what stablecoins is, how do they align with the core principles of Bitcoin and open blockchain. According to me, the answer to that is no. We'll also go and discuss where countries all over the world, they have put an outright ban on algorithmically backed stablecoins, and as citizens and residents, we definitely have to go and follow regulations. Now, if you do want to collaborate on the session or sponsor the session, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. But thank you so much for that question, Angela. And that's about all, guys, from the Ask Me Anything season Blockchain DXB. In case if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. Remember, Monday to Thursdays, we have Blockchain DXB podcast. We look at the process, we look at the latest technological development. Right now, guys, there's a lot of misleading information going on regarding Iran deal. So what I'd really urge you to do is go and look at information only from official sources, because whether we like it or not, news driven by mainstream media directly and indirectly impacts the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, in the Blockchain DXB podcast, we'll definitely go ahead and update our listeners. We also discuss macro level partnership news. Then, guys, we look at 2 news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. We look at the latest technological development. Artificial intelligence, guys, is definitely a hot topic in the Middle East. And what you're listening to right now is the Ask Me Anything series, where your listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, Metaverse. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a nice and bye-bye.